Live from a Zoom meeting recorded weeks ago, it's Phoenix. Tonight, will Phoenix survive the quarantine? Find out with your co-hosts Emily Astril and professional self-isolationist, your host, Russ Kazmierzak.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Phoenix Tonight, the web series that asks the hard-hitting question, will Phoenix survive the pandemic? Will local arts and culture in Phoenix survive COVID-19? My name is Russ. I'm here with my co-host, Emily.
What is up? And today I got a guest. I actually got a guest. Oh my God. Casey Blank, just want to say thank you. Sorry for the horrible lighting. You can also see my hair is going to change when we introduce her, but we don't have a lot of time. We had a very big interview. This is one of the biggest interviews we had, well, lengthwise and YouTube-wise also. So I'm ecstatic. I got really nervous, really scared, so that's why I'm talking right now and doing this intro. So let's get to Casey Blank right now.
Hey, everybody, we're here with our guest, Casey Blake. Casey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Phoenix Tonight.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Thank you. My first question, right off the bat, where do you get personalized neon?
So I actually have a contact here in the Valley. He gets tattooed by my father, actually. And so I have this guy here in Mesa that did it for me. Custom.
Amazing. Super cool.
I love it. It was a gift to myself for doing like 4 freelance gigs one month. It was like,
ooh, nice.
I get something with that money for one.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. I feel braggadocious if I put like my name on a shirt. Like I get a shirt that says Russell, the man, the myth, the legend, and I can only wear that in intimate company because I feel like in public people would look at me like, but this is amazing. So I'm gonna wear that shirt with pride, knowing that there are people out there with their name emblazoned on neon at home. I love it.
I love it too. It was quite the investment, but I plan on actually starting my own podcast in the future. So
nice.
It was one of the things that I kind of wanted, and do like a yin yang chair setup here with 3 cameras, but I'm not there yet.
Oh, cool. So you've been YouTubing during the pandemic, I presume.
Yeah, I actually was caught out of the country when the pandemic started. So I was locked out of the US for almost 3 months. And then after planes started letting at least the Americans coming back in, I hopped on a plane and came home. And then I started really diving into YouTube. I only did like 2 videos in Germany because I just was so out of my element. It didn't feel like home.
Sure.
It was kind of hard to create.
What were you doing in Germany?
Well, I was visiting my fiance. Him and his family live out there. They're in Germany. And so I was just visiting for a couple of weeks when the shutdown happened and Germany's borders closed, causing me to be literally trapped inside of Germany because there was no way of getting out. All the planes stopped flying, literally. So
wow.
It happened and I made it through it. Luckily, I was staying with family, so it didn't hurt the wallet too much. I could work from there, which I was already doing. So it was perfect. I actually, kind of a blessing for me to be able to spend more time with him than I was planning. So
yeah. I have to ask, in Germany, do they call COVID-19 COVID-no-teen?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure it's just COVID-19 out there too.
Oh, okay.
Or they just call it COVID. I really can't even remember. I'm not big on watching the news, and their TV setup in that house was not very luxury. So the TV wasn't on for my entertainment ever. And I clearly don't read German, so I don't know.
Well, I know one word, obviously, so that was the only way I was able to construct even the crumbs of a joke there. But so how long have you been a YouTuber?
I'm trying to remember the year I started. I want to say I really started to get invested into YouTube in about 2014. So we're looking at about 6 years now of like it being of an interest and a hobby. I didn't really start posting seriously until about 2016, though, which was the year after I came out as trans, which is when makeup and hair became such an important part of my life that I wanted to share that with the world.
Very cool. Part of the stay-at-home pandemic phenomenon I've experienced is finally delving into YouTube and the YouTuber culture I never really had before. So I'm starting to learn about 5-minute crafts and debunking 5-minute crafts and wait, maybe they do work. So there's a lot of 5-minute crafts going on. And then making slime is, I guess, a big thing on YouTube as well. And so I checked out your channel, of course, and your journey coming out and as a trans member of society is fantastic to watch. The makeup tutorials are very cool. What do you find people get the most out of your channel? What sets your channel apart?
I'm one of those people. I need to talk about this. She is actually one of the first trans YouTubers I've actually watched. And one of her big ones is, I know this by heart. I don't have to cheat or anything. It's the no HRT video. No hormones, pretty much. So yes, she's actually one of the first ones. I thought it was a trip when I found out she lived here in Arizona, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
I don't display my geolocation very often. Yeah. So I've nodded at it a few times, and I've done the whole like scorpion in the desert type of like style postings. But yeah, you're right. My most popular video has to be that one. It's the how to transition with no HRT. So just giving tips about how to jumpstart things like makeup, hair, hair removal, things that don't require you to go in and see a therapist, get a letter, and start a medical transition, especially for those that are a little younger and maybe just aren't ready to confront like the physical space of being potentially judged for who you want to be. So things that they can do even in the privacy of their own home, just to start to feel comfortable with the concept of coming out and being their most authentic selves. But beyond that, I think what really attracts people to me is I've been out since early high school. I came out of junior, senior year, but I was cross-dressing at school since freshman year. So I experienced being very visible in my own school environment, which I actually have a video coming out this week talking more about it, because it was such a pleasant experience for me, which is crazy because I went to school in the Gilbert area, the Gilbert School District, and it's very Mormon heavy. Mm-hmm. And so it was a little nerve-wracking for my parents experiencing that I was raised Mormon. So my family has been Mormon my entire life, and being trans isn't necessarily the most exciting thing for them as their child. But with time, everyone's come around. But I definitely think that me, my unique story, my unique experience, as well as my medical transition isn't the same as everyone else's. I do not participate in HRT. I was on it for about a year, and I had some struggles with it that caused me to get off. I also have another video on that, which was kind of terrifying to film. And now that I'm out as non-HRT and I'm literally going to get my boobs done in a month, it's exciting to be able to paint a new story for the community and be able to be an advocate that everything's optional. Because I find that the trans community tends to create this environment of like, oh, you need to get this done and that done, and none of it's really needed. I feel like we all need to learn that we're all able to be happy with ourselves in any form, and that we don't have to meet a certain standard. So
wow, I'm really impressed that you're saying this. Like, those are things that I like, especially on my stream. I do get a lot of like AMAs on my stream about trans stuff, and it's like, oh, these are the rules, and I'm like, yeah, not really. Like, it's hard for me because some of them make fun of my size, because I went from like a track cyclist, which is like a bodybuilder's body, and it's like, I don't expect my body to do certain things, and especially if that mold of being a trans woman, I kind of would never probably fit into it. I will always be probably 5'9", 5'10", and be in a very muscle-like state, because some of it is there for a while because I was ridiculously strong for a very long time. I mean, Russ knows. He was there when I was trying to get on the Olympic team and stuff. So
Wow, that's some serious stuff there.
yeah.
Yeah, I just find that this community does hold us all up to a standard, and or we all look up to these idols who have had some of the, not worst from like physical looking, but worst as in physically damaging to your body, plastic surgery, things that can cause permanent damage to muscle and other tissue in a way that will eventually cause the body to attack itself. And no one talks about it. All these girls are so young and have recently gotten it within like the last couple of years that they haven't even necessarily experienced the negativities of it. And some of them might not, but it's potentially a ticking time bomb. And so I just want to be that advocate of like, you don't need anything. I have had no surgery other than wisdom teeth. And I had a birth control implant for my testosterone blocker that they had to put me under to just get out, which I guess is a trans-related surgery. But beyond that,
I was going to say, can anybody get that? Or
no, it definitely took therapy and going to an endocrinologist and weighing the options and my previous existing medical conditions before I was placed on that option. But it was definitely easier than having to take pills 3 times a day and doing that whole jazz. So
getting back to the YouTube aspect of your journey, I'm really curious about, one, why YouTube as far as coming out and identifying yourself in this way to the world, and then 2, what was it like producing and posting that first video? Just your headspace and the actual technical process. This stuff just fascinates me. I'd love your insight on it.
Okay. So I first picked out YouTube because it was a platform that I used regularly. I had a fascination with, they used to have these channels where everyone in a group of like 7 people got a day of the week, and they were either a group of gay people, a group of all these different things, right? And so there's this show called The Gays of the Week, and everyone got their own day and would film all this content. And the first video I ever filmed actually never saw the light of day. And I sat there with my HTC Sense smartphone sitting on my desk, no light in front of me. And I just filmed this video saying like, hey guys, I'm Casey, I'm gay, I would love to be a part of this video. Basically, it's my submission video to be a part of this Gays of the Week because they had a spot open. And looking back at it, it's so cute and innocent and there's no technicality to it. But then I come over to my YouTube channel where I have finally grow enough courage to get started on it. And obviously, I'd been watching such a diverse group of individuals online already at that age group, around 14, 15. And I finally posted, I can't even remember, what was my first video? Do you know?
No, I
I'm
don't.
gonna pop it open real quick because
I'm not gonna lie, I'm brain dead right now. I'm staying here as best as I can.
I'm not, sorry about that. I was like, what is my first video?
That's cool to know. You basically have an unaired pilot, though, as far as that submission.
And I think I actually have it still.
That'll be a nice 10-year retrospective.
So 6 years ago, I posted Get Ready With Me, Casey Blake. That's hilarious. I look crazy in that before on that thumbnail. Anyways, it's live. It's still there. I will not take it down. So if anyone wanted to look at it, that it will be there. But the technicality on that one was I waited to start my YouTube channel until I got my first DSLR camera. Nice. I refused to film on anything other than that. I had done all my research and I settled on a Canon 60D. I bought it for my 16th birthday for myself. My mom pitched in like $150 and my dad another 100. I come from a split family, so birthdays kind of were equal from both sides. And I pitched in the other $600-700 that I had saved over the last couple of years, which was crazy for that age. But I did it. I got a camera, and actually, because I bought the camera, my mom bought me my mom bought me a ring light that accompanied that as a part of my 16th birthday present. So I had my ring light sitting up in front of me. I had my camera there, and I just went for it. Basically did the shortest intro, the shortest outro, and just sped up the makeup process and didn't talk through the rest of the video. That's about it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I just got my first ring light at 40. So I didn't know ring lights have been around that long. I thought they were relatively new. 2014, there were ring lights?
There definitely was. I have a Diva ring light Nova right here that's from that same day, and I've only had a fuse go out on me once on it. So
wow, impressive.
Pretty great for 6 years.
And then, so since then, how often do you post a new video?
So it's been a bit of a struggle for me. YouTube has been a love-hate relationship for me. I had some experiences with advertisement and monetization being turned off, which I do not do it for money. I have literally never gotten a paycheck from YouTube, but circumstances have changed this year that have enabled me to get it turned on again, which I'm so grateful for, because this is something that I do want to take more seriously, and a little income would help me suffice paying for additional help, which is really what I need next. I need someone to help either with writing and or with editing, because it is too much for one person.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Someone has to pay my bills, so I have to work a day job at the same time. So what was the question again? I was like,
well, I'm curious how much pre-production goes into every video. In other words, I seem to experience two different kinds of YouTubers. It seems like they just turn the camera on and go with no pre-thought whatsoever. And then there are others that seem very well thought out, almost scripted, and cool and DIY, but formulaic in a way. So I'm kind of curious as to what your pre-production process is. Like, okay, I'm going to do 3 makeup tutorials this month, and then maybe something else and something else, or is it tighter, looser?
So like I said, YouTube hasn't been like a very strict thing for me. Up until a couple weeks ago, I've been reading The War of Art, as well as revisiting The Secret, just enabling myself with better positive thinking skills and abilities, especially in this time of isolation. And
right.
So I actually have been working a lot on my personal brand. I actually just spent some time with my mentor today, who I haven't spoken to in 3 years, which was way too long. She went off to grad school, and I let her do her thing. I didn't want to bother her. And now I'm at a point where I'm ready to get that help and receive it. So I actually met with her today, and she gave me some really good insight on my personal brand. I'm a graphic designer by day. I do videography and photography as well. I've done WordPress admin. I've played social media runner. I don't even know what you call these, because I've always been called a graphic designer, but I do all these different roles under marketing function. And so a lot of the stuff that you see that I make, all of the stuff you see that I make is done by yours truly. The designing, the ebooks, the editing, the writing, you name it, it's all me. So pre-production planning is vital for me. I create content primarily around education, and it causes me to have to do a lot of research as well as general structuring of the video. I don't tend to script because I can't follow a script. I can hardly have a list of 4 words that say, you have to say these 4 words, and I can barely get through those 4 words, So I have structured some of my content from a quote unquote script, but it's normally like my YouTube channel trailer or something that's so short, and I just need to get to the point, and I want to make sure it's concise. So pre-planning is extensive for me. It's all, some of it's even harder for me. Like, I'm starting a new series. I won't name it, but I will reference an old series. I did this series called Finding Yourself, where I interviewed others in the community. And not only did I have to structure the questions, which essentially applied to all of them, which was amazing, but every video after it was published had a lot of post work on it. So I do 2 camera setup with a separate audio file. So there's the whole audio syncing and then the cutting. And after that's done, I actually transcribe all of my videos and publish them on my blog on my website.
Wow.
And I actually like read through them and rewrite them. And sometimes I even write the blogs before I film the video. And I have a series that actually requires me to create, I'll give a sneak peek because it's coming soon, that causes me to have to create workbook pages. So I'm going to be creating a blog, a workbook page, writing the script or the notes for my video, all before I sit down to do the actual production of it.
Holy moly.
Yeah. We're scumbags, Russ. We're scumbags doing this YouTube thing. I'm just going to go back to Twitch and Instagram making cycling videos. I'll be back. I'm gone. I'm out.
So this is how I feel like an old man, though, is because you're doing this. You say casually, Casey, but that sounds like a lot of work right off the bat.
It is.
Well, 20, what do you have, 20 subs, something like that? I'm just learning to say subs instead of subscribe. You have about 20 subs, right? 20,000.
0.9 thousand. Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So that's at your level of talent casually. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, sorry. I haven't taken it seriously. And I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't yet because it is so near and dear to my heart. This brand is like my life. I have poured everything into it. Like I even use literally my legal first and middle name as my brand name. And I was born with this name and still my name. I have no plans to change it.
Nice.
And so yeah, like my personal brand is me. Essentially, Casey Blake I actually just was working on restructuring my brand statement. And I love how it turned out. I literally did this today. Transgender individuals trust Casey Blake as a trans support and inspiring public figure that pushes normalization because knowledge is the best way to create a safer world. So I make videos on everything.
Yeah.
Because normalization means my life. If I do it, if I find it interesting, someone else is bound to as well. So I try to make content that not only showcases my transness and the aspects of being trans and or educating on it, but also just content that entertains me, like makeup. And I've done several like spring and summer lookbooks where I film myself out and about wearing fashion and different outfits. But this year, I actually, to answer part of that last question, I have videos planned out through the end of the year. And I actually have through January too. I haven't written it down, but I have it. I actually wrote an ebook earlier this year called, it's about growing and establishing a brand, how I got from 20 to 50,000 followers in a year on Instagram. And I actually have a template of a like content calendar creator that I also store ideas on. It's free too, it's downloadable on my website. I swear I do not mean to do this much self-promo.
That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this. That's
that's
tonight. You're
show.
the guest. We just want to show the awesomeness of, well, now Arizona, because we're just 2 downtown rats, pretty much from downtown Phoenix. So, and there's actually Scottsdale Mesa. So, no, this is actually a perfect time for you to promote and everything.
It's like everything. I'm like, oh, I have something on that. But
I forgot to mention that on the DMs, but I knew it was going to come out naturally. Our Instagrams are by our frames. So we're good.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Just for the record, Emily, in this episode alone so far, you've called me a scumbag and a rat. Now, I know you're calling us that together communally, but
yes. Hey, it's city life. What this. We say this all the time. This is city life. This is not a trans thing. This is not a cis thing. That's just city life. You know this. You know this.
So Casey, living in the Valley, because we are kind of Phoenix centric on this show, I don't know how much you want to dwell on this, but the question is simply, have there been any advantages or challenges to your YouTubing as a trans person in the Valley?
The only instance that I ever had an issue with specifically doing YouTube, other than the obvious not having as many other content creators nearby. Granted, I'm not that far from LA. If I really wanted to make a business expense out of it, I could travel out there. Driving to California, it's not that much money. 6-hour drive, whatever. So that respect, obviously, but from creating content and there being an issue outside of just the obvious, only once in high school, one of the parents had an issue with me specifically, and I was actually given a very high position in my senior yearbook where I was featured as a full-paged story. And we talked about how I was trans, how I came out in school, how I was proceeding into college and all those things. And when you scanned the video, there was a QR code on it that enabled you to pull up a video. And I had my transition coming out video pop up when you scanned my yearbook page. So one of the parents from another school had an issue with it, but like stirred up enough of a concern that the school had to inform me in case legal action was taken. Wow. So, but that was the only concern and or issue I've ever had in regards to YouTube specifically. Beyond that, nothing past the crazy looks and stares of people in the grocery store. And most of the time that's like, hair's up, my guard's down, my voice kind of becomes more rough. No makeup, those kinds of moments. There's been like casual like looks and glances, but never anything physical, luckily.
Oh, that's great. A parent from another school had a problem? Come on, people.
Jesus.
People have so much free time. Think about everything you just described, the work that goes into your YouTube channel on top of your day job as a graphic designer. Can you imagine having that kind of free time?
I
I'm
can't.
almost jealous of it. Almost.
I literally do way too much with my time. I also do a lot of freelance work, and I have a few friends that I help with their personal projects, as well as my best friend who also runs a YouTube channel. Like last night, I'm gonna admit it, but I stayed up until about 1:30 in the morning helping her film a YouTube video. So like, and she did the same for me a few days ago. So like, I owe her too, but having someone sit behind that camera just helps you know that you're actually getting your content. Because although you can flip the thing, and I actually have a 27-inch 4K monitor that I just need to buy the cable to set up the output so I can see myself while I film. The problem is I have 2 cameras, and I'm not willing to give up another one of my 27-inch monitors for another camera. So you make do with what you can. The viewfinder is close enough. And if one camera is not in focus and the other is, you either use the one or you flip-flop between the 2 depending on when that occurs. So
yeah, you turn that fuzzy shot, you put a black and white filter on that. Now it looks like artsy, and like that's what you intended, right?
There actually is.
Russ, she's not like us. She's not gonna do that. We sucked at vlogging. That's why we don't vlog anymore, Russ. We both had our own vlogs for a little bit.
I love the concept of vlogging. The act of it is tough for me. Sitting there, like,
I have a good story. So this was the pinnacle of me vlogging. I did it at a rave, at a music festival, and it was like the sign of my life. I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I don't have the courage. I'm transitioning. It was like my early days of transitioning. So it was like a dysphoric day. So I'm like, I'm vlogging dysphoric. I was like, I can't do this no more. Like, why am I doing this at a rave? I should be having a great time, relaxing, drinking Red Bulls and vodkas.
Oh, Red Bull and vodka, yum. I'm on a 0 alcohol diet now.
Nice.
my boobs are coming, so I'm gonna be
Oh.
good so that nothing happens with me going under. Just a safety precaution. They don't like you to smoke and drink and all those things, which luckily I don't do much of it. But vodka and Red Bull is a good one.
How long post-surgery before you could divulge or indulge, I should say, in some libations?
Well, I don't know. I basically I was asked a few questions, and I don't drink enough to make it a concern. So they're like, "Do you drink?" And I'm like, "Rarely." Although it's probably a little more than what some people would call rare. My once every week to every other week is probably a little more frequent than some people, but drinking during the week is just not good for me. I wake up a hot mess the next day. So I avoid that if I can. And I can avoid it. So I'm actually going to spend the rest of the year dry on alcohol and anything caffeinated or carbonated, which is
wow.
good.
Whoa, that
Yeah, you're an artist. You're going into dangerous territory.
yeah, the
Well-
alcohol I get, but I got
Yeah.
coffee right here. I can't go 10 minutes without.
Well, to be
Mhm.
fair, coffee is not a part of my my regimen. I haven't had coffee in 7 years. So literally since I was a child, a young teenager. If I'm going to drink something from like a Starbucks, it's a sugary drink, no caffeine. So
I just want you to know, with everything else we've discussed so far, this to me is the most controversial part of the episode. The no caffeine.
On my ear.
I don't know, soda and like the syrup in it and the massive quantity of sugar, that makes me feel kind of icky after I have 1 or 2 cans of it even. But more than anything, I don't like the feeling of the carbonation. Overwhelming in a way that my body isn't used to anymore. Because my fiance came to visit and I kind of went on a binge of like allowing myself, I'll just have a Coca-Cola randomly. And then I started drinking root beer again, and then cream soda, and then Sprite, and then, one thing left to another. And I was drinking Fanta, and I was like, what am I doing? And so literally last week I got my little wake up call, and my brother was over here and said, you inspired me not to drink soda or anything caffeinated or carbonated, and now you're drinking a soda. And I was like, no, I feel bad.
Oh man, usually something is a gateway to Coke, but in this case Coke was the gateway to root beer. That's kind of
root beer is my favorite. Okay, I'm sorry, A&W has my heart. If I had to pick a soda, it's that one.
You heard it here, folks. Casey Blake's favorite soda, A&W. I knew we'd get a scoop.
Don't buy me any, please.
Yes.
If you want to buy me my indulgence item, I actually have a candy pack that I love from Amazon on my wish list. It's got peanut M&Ms and Twix in it, so
nice combo.
Nice.
Listen, we don't want to take up your whole evening, but I do have a few other questions, if you'd indulge me.
Of course.
Very cool. Doing this web series with Emily is a bit of an education for me. We've been great friends for quite a few years now, but I'm kind of curious for folks that will see this video and watch this interview. If you had to explain away one misconception about the trans community, what would that misconception and explanation be? Does that make sense, that question?
Yes. That's kind of a hard one for me to dive into. Because I try not to focus on the negative a lot of the time. I think that a big one would probably be that trans women are expected to uphold a certain sexual entertaining aspect, and that trans women aren't necessarily always interested in sleeping with men or are interested in the same things that those guys might be interested in with them. And genuinely, I just think that the whole concept of sex and gender just need to be completely separated, and that you have to ask the person what they want as opposed to assuming. I really think that just because you're trans, you shouldn't be automatically assumed as quote unquote straight and or I don't know. It's so weird. People don't understand that you have to ask. You can't just assume
Okay.
in all circumstances, and that includes trans. So
Sure.
I
How
don't
would
know if that
how do
answers that.
no, that's
Awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Since YouTubing is an element of show business, it's a part of show business. So I'm kind of curious, like, how do you perceive Hollywood's representation of the trans community, whether it's at this DIY level of YouTube or right all the way up to feature film? How do you feel that the trans community is currently represented by Hollywood?
Well, I don't do a lot of movie watching in general, but things like Netflix, for example, they have some stuff going that's had trans representation, as well as Hulu. And I feel that it's represented in a really healthy way nowadays. It used to not be. It used to be that the trans were always the villains, but now the trans people just happen to be trans, and they know in the show that they're trans, but they're a human being that services the same day-to-day activities that anyone else does. And they see discrimination, they see as internal struggles with them and all of that, which is, I think, not necessarily the full representation, because how can one officially pull a full representation of a trans individual into a film? I don't know. But I think it covers some of the core principles and things that a trans person might experience. As for YouTube and stuff, I struggle with the whole fame of trans individuals. Like I said earlier, I find that a lot of really, really famous trans individuals stop talking about their transness, not necessarily just like on YouTube, but like across everything. They like, some of them will even remove it from their bios. So like they have stuff on their channel that you can go see, and they're still out and they still made all this content, but now their content doesn't even touch trans ever. I get feeling pigeonholed and like exhausted on topics, but just when you think you're getting tired of it, you cannot stop, because if that's what you're passionate about, if that's your message, if that's what your brand brings to the table, that's what people are following you for. So even if you need to spice it up every now and again, you should always make sure that you're educating on who you are. I think it's important that we always stay visible, if we're comfortable with it, of course. If you started YouTube for transness, I think that it should hold through on your channel. Obviously, if you need to go down to 25% trans videos and the rest are other, fine by me. If you do one a month, fine by me. But like, it can't just go away forever. That part of you will never change. And I think that everyone needs to address that. They continue to go through things that even new trans individuals will experience as well. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be like Guy Fieri having a YouTube channel and deciding to do like furniture reviews or something, like zero food. Like, Guy, you're the food guy. You know what I mean? You got at least have some, I don't know. Yeah. I was trying to think of a good analogy for. Is there something? Here's a question that's burning on my mind, and Emily, you can answer these too, you know, or ask a question yourself, of course.
I will do my best.
I don't want to hog all the cues in our Q&A here, but okay. Is there something that you hear allies say that you're like, and you know, you don't have to say that you don't have to say that.
Well, a big one that probably
asking for a friend.
I think that the biggest thing is like, wow, you're prettier than I am. How is that possible? It's technically a compliment, but it is so disrespectful to not acknowledge the fact that I put in this energy, this effort, and literally have changed my entire lifestyle around developing this exterior look that I really desire internally. And for you to just be like, why can't I be prettier than you because I was born female, implies that you are birthed with the right to be uphold a standard that literally takes me hours to achieve. And I've paid thousands of dollars into laser hair removal, into voice lessons, into hair extensions, and going and getting my hair done. My natural hair only sits to here, and it's not very thick. And it literally takes my hairstylist 6 hours to do my hair, and she charges a couple $100 for it. And like, it's crazy. Anyways, I think the biggest thing
I'll never say a 20-minute haircut's too long again.
Yeah.
you really shouldn't, because I'm not kidding. I mean, I am getting my hair lifted, and I'm naturally this really dark color. And I don't do extensions. I don't do installed permanent hair. I go for the clip-in option, which I can just do in the morning. Like, I woke up this morning and just popped in long hair. So, you know,
Oh, nice.
that happened. But it's also cheaper. And this hair lasts like 3 years and cost me $200, whereas buying one whole set of human hair extensions to install for 6 months, if I even get that long out of it, would cost me anywhere between $500 and $900 just for the hair. And then I have to pay for the install. So, you know, I'm pleased with my efforts. And also I'm pleased to not have broken hair from extensions pulling at it all the time. I can choose when I need long hair, and I can enjoy the freedom of sleeping on my head without extensions at the same time. So did I answer a question there? I did. Okay.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I go on
I'm
tangents.
so hyped. I don't have to talk today. I'm just like here as support. I am the editor and somewhat producer of this podcast, trans supported podcast.
Well, you got to have a question or something, Emily. I've been hogging the.
No,
The
actually,
interview
I
side
have
of it.
just mad respect. I knew about her. I didn't know a lot about her. I was a bit cautious. I could say certain names, and I asked them, like, the only reason I asked was because of a friend, and I go, hey, I do this I do this podcast, but I need to grab someone from the trans community because I don't want people to keep going, you need to grab someone from the trans community. We know you because you are the cool person that knows everybody. And I was like, I thank you. And so it was one of those things. And I just want to say thank you very much. You're super awesome. If anything, I'm more impressed because I did watch most of your YouTube videos, before transitioning and stuff. So I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. I would like to just do another podcast or, be a guest on one of your shows and just like shoot the shit. Like, because it was funny because I did DM her and said, hey, this is going to be loosey goosey. And that was pretty much it. We are going to talk about YouTube and social media.
It's becoming a Phoenix Tonight tradition for Emily to invite herself onto other people's shows.
Yes, I am. I'm doing it so much. It's the best.
Well, I actually, next year, I will be continuing a series that I just started this last week, where I actually bring people on to do a full hair and makeup transformation.
Oh, cool.
And this first one was with a friend who is not out. And so we ended up keeping no name. Obviously, you see them because it's a video. No name, just kind of discreet, didn't talk at all. But the goal is for us to sit down, film a video. I beat their face, do their makeup, and I actually have a few different colored hair extensions that I'll clip in, I'll wash them, style them, and then we'll do like kind of a mini reveal at the end where you have hair and makeup done. But the goal is to actually have real live conversation throughout those episodes. Where it is kind of candid, casual. I'll have a few feeding questions, of course, to keep conversation moving, but ultimately, whatever your heart desired could be discussed. But with the pandemic right now, I'm very limited on my circle, as well as about to go in to get my boobs done. They don't want you socialing. So during the pandemic, if I have COVID, I don't get it done because they can't put me under, and I can't be in recovery if I'm sick. So I am trying my best to avoid all social interaction. I even safely order my groceries to my house. So
Nice. I mean,
was your surgery always scheduled, or did you have to push it back because of your prolonged stay in Germany?
So I actually, 2 years ago, I attempted to have this surgery. My therapist said she'd write the letter. I went down to the Meltzer Clinic and met with Dr. Meltzer, and he approved me for it. He's like, just get your letter. So I went to my therapist, asked for the letter, and she never wrote it. At least from what I could see. I asked her, I emailed her, I called her. I never really got a response, and I wasn't willing to pay another like $200 to see her again to be able to get this letter, because I was told I was going to get it. So I was going to wait for the letter because I was already promised it, right?
Sure.
But after a couple of months, I gave up. I didn't continue to proceed. I financially wasn't in a position anyways to really jump into it since my insurance wouldn't cover it. But life has changed. It's been 2 years. I've done a lot in the last 2 years. And life has given me the opportunities to do quite a few important, big adult things for myself this year, which I'm kind of grateful for. This year has been kind of a pivoting point for me in a lot of positive ways. And one of them being, I now am financially able to do it. I tried a GoFundMe and I felt embarrassed to ask for help. So I gave up on the GoFundMe route. One gracious subscriber and follower donated $700, and I am indebted to her. She's like, I know that this won't cover the whole cost. You have helped me and my wife so tremendously through my transition. And I don't care what this money gets used for, but use it to do something for you, whether that be traveling to see your fiance or literally paying for your wedding, whatever it is. She's like, use that money for you. And I thank her. That money has been sitting in my bank account since I got it a year and a half ago, because I knew the surgery was coming and I've done my due diligence. I have put my money away, and now I am ready for this surgery. And my new insurance actually wants me to write in a letter to them, and they might cover like $2,000 of the cost.
Oh,
is like
that's pretty cool.
The hospital charge,
Yeah.
which is incredible. I think that also includes the anesthesiologist, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to try. We're going to write a letter. We're going to see what happens. And I'll have a video out on that in December on my boob job.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, and you could just say you're going to plead the fifth and we'll move on, but you're in an internationally long distance relationship. Can I ask how you guys met? And
Sure.
So how did you guys meet? And is he German, or does he live in Germany?
No, he's German.
Oh, okay.
He's a German man. And he's 6'2". He's skinny, got all the muscles in the right spots. And he's incredible. I was actually just editing a blog post I'm posting. Actually, it'll be up this week. Yeah, so it'll be up before this is probably even up. And I'm gifted in this life. I was handed this man who was accepting and incredible, open-minded, loved me because of my uniqueness. And basically one day I got a DM. He did the gross saying of he slid into the DMs and literally took my heart, and I took his in return. Then we met for the first time in person 2 years later after becoming online friends. We waited until my 18th birthday before actually meeting and making anything official, because it only made sense. He's a couple years older than me, so we I wasn't about to do that, and I wasn't about to put my parents in that situation either. So at 18, he finally came to visit for 3 weeks, and I paid for us to stay in a really nice hotel, Fire Sky, up in Scottsdale, right across
Oh
the
yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's a cute place. I actually really enjoyed staying there. But we met for the first time, and it was literally love at first sight in the Phoenix airport. It was just meant to be. It felt so natural, and within a few days, it was like we'd known each other for 3 years in person. It didn't even feel any different. So, yeah, it just a casual thing turned into something pretty serious, and he was willing to financially front the money for his plane ticket, and I was willing to pay for the hotels for 3 weeks, which was way too much money. But at the end of the day,
Well, you could have gone to the La Quinta Inn. You didn't have to do the big Fire Sky.
no, I did Fire Stay for a week, and then we moved to a Hyatt place, and then we stayed at an extended stay. But the reason why we stayed at the extended stay was because I could walk to and from work from where it was located. So it just made sense for the last week when I had to work that we were close by, especially because I didn't drive at that point.
So what baffles him about American culture, and what baffles you about German culture?
I was gonna say that.
Let's think on this one. What baffles him about American culture? I think that he's kind of into it, but the gun thing is kind of crazy in comparison to what's out there. Like, you don't have guns in Germany. Guns aren't a thing. The police are definitely something that is kind of a mockery out there, in general, not just at this time. It's kind of interesting because one day we were out at a parking garage and someone yelled, "Freeze, it's the police." And a whole group of people just started laughing that weren't even associated with the person yelling that. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that it was like that here. But I think the gun thing is kind of interesting to him. And in general, our whole like crime facilitation, because that and insurance are like completely different out there. Healthcare is like literally like a God-given right in Germany. So, which is amazing. Like, his mom's on bed rest right now from knee replacement surgery, and she gets to stay in a hospital, quarantined there, obviously limited access with the doctors while she recovers for 2 weeks. She goes home for only a week where she's on bed rest, and then she goes into a recovery center for 5 weeks, and she doesn't come home. She stays there. She's there getting physical therapy, and literally being catered to during her recovery, which here they get you up and out the door like within a few days for knee replacement surgery. And so it's just baffling to me to just see the different differentiation in culture, from a government standpoint. Past that, you asked what is baffling to me about Germany. So I actually have a fun one. Now that that one was serious, we'll go on to the things that really baffle me. I have a few of them that are really quick. The big one, their windows. I don't know if you know, Germany has these luxury windows. We're talking like $2,000 for like a window yay big. And the reason it's so expensive is it has, first off, it pivots this way, like it has like a little like 10-degree opening for airflow. You push it back in, you turn the handle, and the window can be opened like this.
Oh.
And then not only that, but there's normally blinds either built into the glass pane itself and or an attached blind set onto it that you can organize, fold, like push up and down on a wire setup. But a lot of them also have a, I don't know what you call it, but this like grate, a roll outable like weather dampening system on the outside of the house. So it has like this huge metal box that has a rolled up plastic thing inside of it. And you click a light switch in the house, literally on the wall, mounted over sometimes by the front, by the door, sometimes by the window. It depends on who and when it was installed. And you click it, and this shade from outside comes in, and it blackens out the entire lighting from that window. It looks post-apocalyptic, when you're walking by and you see all these houses with these like grates over their windows. So that kind of threw me
Yeah,
for a
that's
loop. I
bizarre.
almost broke one of their windows when I was there this last trip trying to open it. And it like, I got it to open this way and this way. And I was like, uh-oh, but we luckily snapped it back in just fine. Works perfectly. Just me and my American mind can't apparently process a window. Uh, but also like there's little things like how their food is handled out there is much cleaner than we do here. Things like even their cereal. I had Fruit Loops out there. They are not the same color. And the reason is
What?
they refuse to put in any artificial coloring in anything. And honestly, I think that's how it should have been all along for all of humanity. I think we should respect ourselves to give ourselves at least as pure of a thing as we can with all the preservatives we put in on top of that. Like I'm still baffled by the fact that we have bleach enriched flour. I don't even know how that even became a thing. I think that the idea that we have to be able to eat with our eyes has to be such like a literal thing, because eating with your eyes doesn't just mean it has to look visually appealing. But we're only catered to view it as visually appealing because that's what we're used to now. We've become so content with like our bread looking like white bread, if you eat white bread, versus like whole grain, which I don't think whole grain looks gross. I actually think it looks better than the stale, simple like white bread that clearly wasn't meant to be that color. Anyways, the food out there, the Fruit Loops, not the same experience, but they taste great.
Wow. So what color are they?
They're muted. So like instead of being like vibrant green, vibrant whatever, they like don't have certain colors if you can't produce the color in a way that was like functionable for the Fruit Loops.
Wow.
They like forewent certain things. For
Yeah.
real.
I don't. How would I know the cherry Fruit Loop from the grape Fruit Loop if one isn't red and one isn't purple? I don't.
Do they even taste different? Because I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't
I
even.
mean,
I have a quick
when they're
question. Is Germany one of those countries that doesn't serve like Sprite and Mountain Dew like clear sodas? Because I know there's some countries that are like that.
So, are you asking if they do or don't? Or sorry, they don't sell?
They don't sell like, yeah, because some countries don't sell clear sodas. I think like Canada is one of the prime ones. Because I remember I went to Canada, it was like, oh, we don't have that here. I was like, oh, cool.
Weird.
Yeah.
Germany has an extensive list of drinks, especially in the alcohol department. But there's actually a very, very massive warehouse-sized like drink store, literally like 5-minute walking distance from where he lives. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. 5 minutes away from where he lives. And so they have almost everything. You have to hunt for things like Dr. Pepper, and Mountain Dew was just recently introduced to Germany. I'm pretty sure they literally just got it in the last year. At least where he is. I can't speak for the whole country, obviously, but they have Sprite. I know because I made Dirty Shirley's while I was there. So there's definitely Sprite.
Wait till they drop that code red on the Germans.
Oh my
God.
I have not had Code Red in ever. That's funny.
Well, I figure you are what you eat, so I'm on a strict diet actually of Code Red and Big Hunks. So that's about it. And maybe a Smarties chaser, and that's it. But
sounds appetizing. I'm on a strict peanut M&M diet, so.
Oh, well, it's good taste. It's good taste. Emily, any other questions come to mind? I'm asking about international relations, YouTubing, the trans community. Where are you? What's going on over there?
You're beating me to the catch, and I'm having light issues, as you can see. I'm sitting here fighting with my light bar. Oh, why? No.
I think like, you missed vlogging from that rave. You had to recreate one in your room.
Oh
there.
God, no. You know what? Because of this, I might put it back on, just that, and it'll be on my YouTube. But yeah, no, I'm just like, you know, I had my hesitations. I was scared. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm a loser. I was wrong, not in a negative way. I lost because I was like, I shouldn't have thought of that like that, but it was super fun. Um, Getting to do this podcast and all these other things, because I'm like one of the people in the trans community that's kind of like a loner and a soloist, out in the city, walking around being myself. I really don't know a lot. I just know the very few, and you're one of the ones that popped up because of YouTube and, that whole stigma. And, I don't have judgments on people because of their YouTube, because there's a lot of amazing people that do YouTube, but there's a lot of other things. I'm just like really like impressed on like the state of mind that I think a lot of YouTubers that are trans would be in. And especially like the whole California thing. You're like, I can just drive there. I could just fly there if I had to do something, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. Because mostly a lot of people are going for the California dream or all these other things. And I have so much respect to you even more now on another level, you know. I'm just a little a trans girl who's just running around the streets on her bike, having fun, taking picture of graffiti and, taking pictures of graffiti, trying to still be a DJ, and knowing who I am and all these other things and never forgetting about it. And I respect that so much. And, if I ever do YouTube again, I'll second view that again. But even on Twitch, I have my notification that I'm trans and all these other things. I do get bullied and stuff, but I don't care. Like, I'm here, I'm there. I mean, I've dealt with, and I know you probably have, and I guess that's a good question, is the bullying of, like, there are people who are rude enough in this world who will tell you, you'll never be a woman, all of that. Like, I went through that 2 days ago. Maybe that's why I'm like so freakishly scared and stuff. I'm still recovering from yesterday's stream and, the bullying I went through. So it was pretty heavy. A lot of trolls, if you don't know this, Russ, on Twitch, they don't just go by themselves. They'll be 2, 3, or 4 together, and then they'll just like kind of like blast their whole chat with things and just say things. And sometimes they'll get you with like some basic questions because now you're answering them. Then they'll just bring in the heavy stuff and the trolling and everything. So yeah, it's a very, very, I guess that's why I'm like very nervous. I shouldn't be nervous. I'm technically in a safe space doing this podcast, but I'm so used to just certain environments, and this Twitch thing is a new thing to me. But you've always been a big inspiration and all these other things, because it's just like, I think it's just cool that I get to have one of my heroes technically on this. If I have to say one thing, thank you. You were a big motivation. I'm still a hardworking person, and your first video I ever got to watch still shows that I shouldn't try regardless. And I was a femboy before femboys, and that was my like entry of transitioning when I was in high school. So it was a big experience and all these other things. I guess that's why I don't wear that much makeup and stuff. Is just because I just want to show that if there's anyone following me on my 100 followers on Instagram and stuff, is you can have I don't like my light bar right now. You can still be strong with the very, very minimal things. And, I've actually started living a minimalist life so I can take care of myself, and all these other things. I mean, but this is street fashion. I'm wearing street fashion right now. But yes, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a guest. I'm really ecstatic. And all those other things. I'm just like, I guess that's why I'm like ecstatic about this.
No, the nerves are natural, Emily. We have Casey's identifying you as one of her heroes, and I think that's where the nerves come from. I mean, if if next week when we have Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees on here as a guest, I'll be a little nervous too. So okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I gotta say thank you to my good partner, Elise, my DJ partner, my band member too. You know, she helped me out a lot with this whole thing, and I just have to say thank you. So Elise, if you're watching, thank you very much. You know, you're already an amazing band partner, and just yeah, this
What
is
do you mean if she's watching? We need those hits. If your significant other, my significant other, and my mom isn't watching this, so we have no views. Okay, that's the last question, Casey. Spinning off of what Emily just said. Last question: have you had the chance to meet any of your heroes through your YouTubing? And if not, who would you like to meet?
Through my YouTubing, this is a bit of a stretch, but yes, I've gotten to meet a few people that I look up to. One of them is actually another local trans girl. Suddenly Samantha is her name. She's been just like a good friend of mine over the last couple of years, and have really helped me when I've actually received online bullying and my own community even coming at me and attacking me for something that I try to do that was actually all lighthearted, positive, like energy, inspiring really is what I was going for. But some people didn't take it that way last year, and it caused a big team of like 100 people coming to my Instagram and bashing me on my own platform. YouTube, I find, is not as bashful as Instagram, but my best friend's name is China Riley. No, not China Riley. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, she follows me on Instagram.
China.
What's up, China?
China, drag China, drink China, whatever she goes by now. I cannot remember. Oh, that's why I just call her the wrong name. Poor girl. I'm like, don't change your name. I'm like, if you want me to build you business cards, please do not change your name. We can't keep up. I'm not gonna buy you a second set. So I got to meet a really big YouTuber, a few of them, but one specifically that I look up to. She's not trans, but she creates content for others that are disabled. Her name's Molly Berkey. She makes content about being blind. And she was at VidCon and waiting outside for her entry. And I got to run up to her and tell her that I love her videos, I appreciate her, and that she's inspired me to make sure my content is friendly to those with disabilities, which includes adding, in Instagram, if you click on more settings, you can actually add descriptions of your pictures, so that every time the visual to audio softwares scan through Instagram, you can tell that system what to actually say, like Casey standing in front of trees in her favorite summertime dress. And that's what it'll say instead of either nothing or just the caption. Because if the caption's like rockin' the blues or something, they're not going to know what the picture was like. So sure. I started doing that, and I actually made an educational post on that actually before I met her. And it was just like one of those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, like it's not specifically because of her, but like because of this scenario, I'm more aware of these things because I watch her content. And thank you is like, I'm like, what more can I do? Like, and she told me, she's like, honestly, that alone is so much for my community. And it just was like heartwarming. And I actually got to see her on a panel as well as a few others. I met My Life as Ava. She's also not trans. But I also got to meet, I'm so bad with names, and I feel bad because it's like the first trans person I was going to mention, but Miles McKenna. I got to meet him, and he's trans, and it was very brief because it was literally, they all stood by the front of the room, and everyone got to take pictures who wanted to stay and wait. And so I got to talk to him. I gave him a business card, as well as Miles J, who is very genderqueer, and an amazing YouTuber. Has like the most personal sit down film, doesn't care what the quality looks like, just produces the content for just that, the content. And It's so much fun what he does. He's grown so much, and he actually was one of the few individuals on Gaze of the Week, which inspired me to get onto YouTube. So that's I guess one of the bigger idols that I've gotten to meet.
Cool. That brings it full circle.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Casey, thanks a lot for being on this episode of Phoenix Tonight. We really appreciate it. It's weird to meet people like this in an interview setting,
Good.
but yeah, this was great.
Because
And
now if I see either of you out in public ever in the safe future, maybe that will entice me to say hello. Because if I didn't know who you were, I wouldn't have said hello. And this is my first time meeting both of you. So thank you for having me.
Cool.
I
You
hope
got it.
I did not disappoint. If anyone's interested in following me before they kick me off, I do have social media platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, and a website with everything. So if you're interested in checking out more content on topics like discussed today, you can go check me out there. But thank you again, you guys. Is there anything else you need from me?
No, we just get to say goodbye. That's it. We all get to say goodbye.